What if I told you that in the 1950s, the US military secretly built a flying saucer jet, an experimental aircraft designed to defy gravity, outmaneuver enemies, and turn science fiction into reality? A craft that looks eerily similar to the UFOs people were spotting in the skies of post-war America. But this one wasn't alien. It was ours. This is the hidden story of the Avrocar, the flying saucer jet the US military built and then buried. The 1950s were an age of paranoia and possibility. The Cold War was escalating. The United States and the Soviet Union raced not just for nuclear dominance, but for technological supremacy in the skies. Jet fighters were evolving fast. Rockets were reaching new heights. And in the background, ordinary Americans were reporting strange disks darting across the heavens. The UFO craze was in full swing. But behind closed doors, the Pentagon wasn't laughing. They weren't dismissing the sightings. Instead, they were trying to build one of their own, a real flying saucer. The project began not in the US, but in Canada. At the Avro Aircraft Company near Toronto, a brilliant engineer named Jack Frost dreamed of revolutionizing aviation. Instead of planes with wings, Frost believed the future belonged to discs. Circular aircraft powered by a turbo rotor, a massive fan that would lift the craft vertically like a helicopter and then propel it forward like a jet. It was called Project Y, later known as the Avrocar. The concept was bold, a flying saucer that could take off from anywhere, city streets, jungle clearings, or even the deck of a ship. It would hover, dart, and maneuver in ways no conventional aircraft could. In 1953, the US Air Force took notice. Funding began to flow south of the border. What started as a Canadian dream became a joint Cold War experiment. The goal? To build a saucer-shaped supersonic fighter capable of challenging Soviet jets, and perhaps even replace the helicopter. By the mid-1950s, the Avrocar was taking shape. Roughly 18 feet in diameter, 3 feet tall, and designed to carry 2 crew members. It looked exactly like the flying saucers that haunted newspaper headlines. But this was no alien craft. Its heart was a massive fan powered by 3 jet engines, meant to create a cushion of air beneath the disc, a phenomenon engineers called ground effect. The Avrocar promised vertical takeoff and landing, stealth, and unparalleled agility. If it worked, it could hover under radar, skim treetops, and strike deep into enemy territory. But there was one problem. It didn't work. In 1959, the Avrocar finally left the hangar. Cameras rolled. Test pilots climbed inside the saucer cockpit. Engineers held their breath. The engines roared. The disc lifted into the air. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed like science fiction had become fact. But almost immediately, cracks appeared. The Avrocar could only hover a few feet off the ground. It shook violently. It was almost impossible to control. Every attempt to push higher ended in disaster. As soon as it rose above ground effect, the saucer lost stability, tilting dangerously. Instead of a futuristic fighter, the Avrocar became a joke. Some pilots called it a flying manhole cover. Others, a hovercraft that wished it was a UFO. Still, the military pressed on. Millions of dollars had been poured in. Perhaps with adjustments, the saucer could yet fly. But why did the US military really pursue a flying saucer? Some historians argue it was simple innovation, an experimental path in aviation. But others suspect darker motives. At the height of the UFO wave, Americans were terrified of discs in the sky. By funding their own saucer, the Pentagon could both research the phenomenon and control the narrative. Was the Avrocar a weapon project, a psychological operation, or even a cover for something far more advanced, hidden behind the clumsy prototype shown to the public? We may never know for sure. What we do know is this. By 1961, the Avrocar project was officially canceled. The dream of a military flying saucer was buried, at least on paper. Today, 2 Avrocar prototypes survive, silent, metallic relics sitting in museums. Tourists walk past them, hardly noticing that these discs were once classified experiments. The official story is simple. The Avrocar failed. It was impractical. It was abandoned. But some whisper that the project didn't die. It simply went deeper underground. That the clumsy prototype was a smokescreen, while more advanced versions were developed in secrecy. After all, the US military doesn't abandon an idea. It shelves it until technology catches up. And consider this. Modern stealth aircraft, drone technology, and VTOL fighters, like the Harrier and F-35, all trace their roots to experiments like the Avrocar. Maybe the saucer never truly disappeared. Maybe it evolved. The Avrocar stands as a reminder of an age when imagination and paranoia collided. A time when the line between UFOs and secret weapons blurred. It may have looked like a joke, but it was also a symbol of human ambition. To push beyond the possible, even if it meant building a flying saucer. So next time you hear about a UFO sighting, ask yourself, is it alien? Or could it be the ghost of a military project that was never meant to be seen? Because history has taught us one thing. Sometimes the truth really is stranger than fiction. If you found this story fascinating, or it has opened your eyes, don't let it vanish into the shadows. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss more secrets buried in history. Cold War secrets and forgotten experiments. And now, it's your turn. Do you believe the Avrocar was just a failed prototype? Or the cover for something bigger, still hidden today? Or the tip of a much larger secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the conversation about truth and secrecy is far from over.